Hey guys, so today's Friday the 29th of January, and here is what we're going to be doing today. So in your Google Classroom, we're going to be working on 12-3 multiplying and dividing equations. If you are in my class, you're going to be doing the Google slide activity. Read the directions. You need to make a copy, replace it with your name, and follow along and complete in class. So you're going to be following the directions of it and completing it and submitting that. Your other thing that you're going to do is you have this pixelated art. Again, you're going to make a copy and rename it with yours, and then when you do it correctly, you'll see to the side on the left that it will become unpixelated, if that's what you call it, or pixelated, one of the two. So let's get started. Get out your 12-3 notes. So I have my 12-3 notes right here. I've cut them into pieces, one section and two sections. So let's get started. So today's the 29th, like I said, 1/29/2021. Okay, so when we're using division to solve equations, we're going to talk about the division property of equality. You can divide both sides of an equation by the same non-zero number, and the two sides will remain equal. So key thing is you have to divide both sides by the same non-zero number, and it will remain equal. And key thing, when equations contain multiplication, so if an equation contains multiplication, you got to divide both sides by the same number. Non-zero, guys, keyword there was non-zero, because if you divide each side by zero, automatically zeroes out everything. So it doesn't remain the same then. All right, so here we go with our first question. So 3x is equal to -21. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to rewrite it. 3x is equal to -21. All right, the first thing I want to ask myself is, well, what's my variable? Well, my variable here is x. Okay, so I need to get x by itself. So I see that it's being multiplied. So I need to divide each side by the number with the variable. Just like we subtracted or added with a number with a variable, we need to divide by the number with the variable. So I'm going to divide each side by 3. And then I'm left with x equals, okay, 3 can go into -21 and -7 times. So my answer would be x equals -7. And how I would graph that on a graph, find 0. -7's to the left of 0, so there it is. I'm going to put a circle and shade it in and make it a dot. This is very important for us to remember this, guys, because in the next week or two, we're going to be talking about writing inequalities. And for us to write and draw inequalities, we must know how to graph them. Okay? All right. So basically, what we've been doing here is the inverse operation. So I think we talked about this a little in class, inverse operation. So remember, this is the opposites. So the opposite of addition is subtraction. The opposite of subtraction, again, is addition. Now we're going into multiplying. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. And the opposite of dividing is multiplying. Okay? So if you can remember this rule, solving equations is going to come easy to you. So my next one I'm going to write 9p is equal to 54. Okay? Remember, my variable here is p, so I need to get p by itself. So I need to divide each side by, well, what's with p? This 9. So I need to divide by 9 and divide by 9. Okay? So this is left me with p is equal to, 9 can go into 54 6 times. P is equal to 6. And I can also check my work just to make sure. If you have a question, they're like, oh, well, does that number make sense? Well, check it out. So 9 times 6, does that give me 54? Well, 9 times 6 is 54. 54 is equal to 54. Therefore, it checks out that that is the solution to that variable. Or that is that solution to that equation. All right, let's go to another one. Negative 5m is equal to negative 25. Okay, hey, equations don't discriminate. They're not all positive. Sometimes they throw negatives in there. So we got to know how to get rid of negatives. So again, my variable still is m. Okay, that doesn't change. It's the letter that represents an unknown. Okay, but this negative 5 is attached to it. This whole negative 5 needs to be divided by each side. I don't need to divide it by 5. I need to divide it by negative 5. Okay, so everything there, we got to take it with us. It's like get the 5, get the negative for free. All right, so when I solve this, I'm left with m is equal to, well, negative 5 can go into negative 25 5 times. So it would be m is equal to 5. M is equal to 5. So remember, when you are doing negatives, it's the whole thing. You can't just leave the negative behind. Okay? Just in case you want to see. All right? So again, this is just another example. So if you took negative 5m is equal to negative 25, and say, oh, I divided by 5, I divided by 5, this will still give me a negative m is equal to a negative 5. So there's still this negative attached to this variable. So then I would have to divide it by negative 1 and divide this by negative 1, and m will still equal 5. Okay? So instead of doing 2 steps with division, I could just do 1 step by dividing it by negative 5 to begin with. Okay? Next question here. We're going to go on to the next side. So when an equation contains division, key thing is when an equation has division, and you'll see it looking kind of like a fraction. Solve by multiplying both sides of the equation by the same number, Okay? So the multiplication property of equality means that you can multiply both sides of an equation by the same number and they will remain the same. The 2 sides will remain equal. 2 sides will remain equal. So let's look here at this one. So we have y divided by 9 is equal to negative 1. Okay, we see division. So how I show that I'm going to multiply, super easy. Put a multiply by 9 on one side and multiply by 9 on another side. This cancels to give me 1, so then I'm left with just y on this side. The equal sign stays the same, and then I solve this. Negative 1 times 9 gives me a negative 9. So y is equal to negative 9. So when I graph this, y is equal to negative 9. I'm going to go to 0, find negative 9 to the left of 0 on a number line. I put a circle and I make sure I shade in that dot because it's saying it is negative 9. Can't be any of these other numbers. It has to be negative 9. Okay? Let's do 3 more. Okay? So x divided by 5 is equal to 10. Okay? So I need to get rid of this. The variable is x. I need to get rid of this dividing by 5. So I need to multiply by 5 on each side. This gives me then x equals, this equal stays the same, and then I need to solve this. 10 times 5 is 50. So x is equal to 50. If I wanted to draw this on a number line, I can create it super simple. You ready? Straight line, 2 arrowheads at each end. In the middle, I put 50. I always put a number higher than 50. And I always put one number lower than 50. There's my number line. Nothing fancy about it at all. Then I'm just going to plot the point at 50. I'll plot the point at 50. All right. So, very simple. Very simple. All you need, I did 3 digits. On number line. I don't have to go 0, 1, 2, 3, all the way to 50. I could just show that, hey, there's 50, where it would be, and that's where it would be on a number line. Okay, my next one is, let me grab my green, negative r divided by 6 is equal to 13. Okay, now look, it has a negative. There's a negative attached over here with a variable. So I need to take that negative and that 6 and multiply it all at once to be a negative 6. Then I need to take this and multiply it by negative 6 on this side. All right, since this is taking out the negative, so that will go away, and the 6 will go away. So I'm only left with r equals, and then I need to multiply. 13 times 6 gives me 78. But I have a negative 6 here, so that would be a negative 78. Okay, I'm going to draw it on my number line. So again, negative 78. I always kind of put all this number in the middle. Hold on, let me move this up. I need a number to the right, which would be negative 77, and a number to the left, which would be negative 79. And I'm just going to place my dot there. Okay. And the last one, remember, equations don't discriminate. Well, sometimes you may have decimals. N times 2.5. N divided by 2.5 is equal to 9. So there may be a decimal. Same rules apply. I have dividing by 2.5, so I need to multiply by 2.5 on each side. To multiply by 2.5 on each side. So this cancels out, leaving me only with n is equal to 2.5 times 9. Okay, so if I break up 2.5 with a distributive property, 2 times 9 is 18. Half of 9 is 4.5. I add the 2 together, and I get 22.5. So n would equal 22.5. All right, so I'm going to draw that on my number line. Remember, number lines, make sure you have 2 arrowheads to show that that continues on. I'm just going to put 22.5 here. To the right, to the left, I'm going to put 22. To the right, I'm going to put 23. And I'm just going to grab my pen, and it was 22.5, and I'm going to put a circle colored in right there. Okay, so that does it for the notes. Okay, so remember, inverse operation, you're going to do the opposite, and you do it to both sides of the equation. You do it to both sides of the equation. So let me stop with my notes so I can show you what your homework is. Hopefully I can figure it out. Okay, so when you go here, solving one-step equations, I don't know why that one's not pulling up. Oh, no. Excuse me. You're going to come over here and you're going to make a copy. Entire presentation. You're going to rename it. So just take a copy of and type your name. Right? So when you upload it, then that's where you can maneuver everything and you don't have to worry about affecting anything on my end. So this is solving one-step equations, multiplying, dividing, drag and drop, and fill in the blank. So I'm going to click on the second slide, drag the correct term into the boxes to solve the equation. 3x is equal to 12, so I'm going to divide each side by 3. So I'm going to click on my thing, and do you see how those 4 arrowheads pop up? And move it over there. Boom! There it went. Take my other 3. I'm going to move it over here. Boom! There it goes. And 3 can go into 12 4 times. So I'm going to click on it, wait until I get the 4 arrowheads, and then there. All right, so that's how I'm going to do those drag and drops. Okay, I'm going to look real quick here. drag and drop. So, okay, I'm going to multiply by 4 on each side, dragging and dropping, dragging and dropping, and then my answer would be 24. All right, when you come down here to the ones that are not drag and drop, this is where you're just going to type it in. So here I would type 7, multiply by 7, multiply by 7, and 3 times 7 gives me 21. So that's how you do the solving one-step equations with this Google Slide activity. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care, and I will see you Monday. Bye.